Welcome to the Wickedly Smart Women podcast, featuring stellar conversations with emerging and established wickedly smart women. Thanks for joining us today as we celebrate the wickedly smart women who are committed, care deeply, and have the courage to take action and create change all around the world. Now here's your host, Emerald Greenforest.
And welcome to another episode of the Wickedly Smart Women podcast, where we celebrate wickedly smart women and provide our listeners with a wealth of wisdom, along with immediately actionable steps to be smarter, spunkier, and more successful in their impact and their leadership. This is your host, Emerald Greenforest, and today we welcome our very special guest and a very dear friend and sister in spirit and sister in success of mine, Maribel Jimenez. Maribel is an international speaker, best-selling author, and marketing mentor. She is founder of Creative Solutions Consulting, the new Superwoman community, and co-founder of Bake Your Book Mentoring and her newest brand, Your Dream Launch Community. She works with entrepreneurs, coaches, and consultants, teaching how to launch to 6 and 7 figures with successful product and program launches. Welcome to the show, Maribel. And I do want to say before you jump in, Maribel and I go way, way, way back. We have known one another for almost a decade now and have shared some immense medicine with each other and immense success with each other and immense joy with each other. And so it is truly, truly, truly a pleasure to have Maribel on the show. She is your dream launch mentor, somebody who loves to launch and loves to help other people to do that as well. And I want to start by just, first of all, welcoming you and saying thank you so much for taking time out of a launch that you're actually in the middle of right now of your own for joining us on the show.
Yes, Emerald, I'm so happy to be on. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm so excited to share with your audience. We're going to have a wickedly smart conversation.
Yes, we are. And so I want to start actually with what called you to step into the leadership role that you have and that you've stood so powerfully and so consistently in helping entrepreneurs to bring their big ideas, their books, their podcasts, their programs to literally to bring them to life. What was the calling that got you to become the wickedly smart woman that you are?
Yeah, thank you. I love this question. I will tell you that, first of all, I, at 5 years old, had a dream to be an entrepreneur. And part of that passion was, just seeing that my parents were struggling, right? They struggled. And I remember praying in my God time saying, God, show me how to be a millionaire so that my parents never have to struggle. So it started there, but I had no idea how that was going to happen. So I did what my dad told me: work hard, go to school, get an education. That's what I did. And I strived to be the best at everything because I felt like, hey, I'm going to work hard, right? That was my mantra, and I'm going to make things happen. Well, this little secret was in my heart for 15 years as I worked my way up, treating every place that I worked at. I worked at a nonprofit, I worked in a hospital doing marketing, and I worked in retail. Everywhere I went, I treated it like it was my business, and I was going to make it succeed as best as I could. And I finally decided, there's no perfect time. I got pregnant. My boss said, don't think you're taking time off. Bring your crib to the office. And I said, yeah, that's not going to happen. I started feeling the tug even stronger that what am I doing here? I'm working to the bone. I'm a workaholic here. So I'm doing everything I can to have these organizations be successful. And then I feel like a slap in the face. I still have my marriage that I want to succeed. I still have my children that I want to succeed. And I still have a desire to have more children. So I finally, in that moment, I remember getting called into the office and my boss saying, okay, we already won all the awards. We can't even go any higher, right? I fired your team and no more bonuses because there's nothing else to, win. And that was a $40,000 pay cut. And I said, okay, well, no, I don't accept that and I'm not signing. And he said, well, you better think about it. Okay, no problem. So and my lunch hour, I went to my car and I prayed. I said, God, show me. I have this desire in my heart I have a calling. I know I'm here to serve at a deeper level. I know I'm here to be an entrepreneur and create. I know marketing, and marketing is about sharing solutions, right? So I said, God, if now's the time, like, give me a sign. And I felt this immediate calm, like, I got your back. Like, I'm going to carry you. You don't have to know the answers. And I felt so much calm. I felt crazy, like crazy that, like, okay, let's do this. I have nothing in my savings. I'm in debt. Super high cost of living. I'm the main breadwinner of my family, but we're going to do this. And I just felt like that. I felt unstoppable. I went back in. It's to anyone else logically, that was ridiculous. But to me, my heart, my passion woke up that I have this desire and God has my back. Everything's going to move. Mountains are going to move. Went back to the office, said, I'm putting my resignation. I don't accept that. In that case, I'm going to work for myself. My boss says, threw it at me, said, oh, you're never going to work again if I have anything to do about it. And the good news is I didn't. So from that place forward, security was called and I was escorted out of the building like if I was some criminal or something. He was super upset with me for leaving. Like if we were divorcing, it was just weird having people call. Anyway, all that being said, I walked in my house and for some reason I felt so much relief and so much like we're finally going to give ourselves permission to have the dream that I've always had in my heart. And I didn't even know how it was going to work out because I was very much in my masculine at this time. I worked only with men managers. So the masculine was, you need to have the plan, you need to have the savings, you need to have the business plan. You do not make any moves until you have all of it clear in front of you. And then the feminine part of me, which is the heart space and the flow and the passion and the connection to source, was like, hey, you got God behind your back, you don't need anything else. Like that's all you need. And it was a beautiful like marriage of these two because I have both parts very strong to move forward. And I just felt free no matter, despite appearances all around me. So here I am. I'm actually worse than broke because I'm in debt. So I'm in the negatives, like negative 50 something $1,000, right? And I was living paycheck to paycheck. I made a 6-figure salary, but it was Orange County. Cost of living was like, we barely could scrape by because that's the cost of living in that area. So there was no safety net. And that was another blessing in disguise. There was no credit available. I was maxed out. That was a blessing in disguise. So what I had to do was learn as quickly as possible with that strong desire to make it happen because I was never going to work again, right? Traditionally as an employee. So I had choice. The boats are burned. Go forward and make it happen or get another job. And I refused to get another job. So I didn't care if it was working 20 hours a day. It didn't matter to me. I was going to make it work. So tapped into my desire. I'm here to help people, right? My strong desire to make it happen. I look around and I see, okay, how do people do this? They're launching. Oh, I see. Oh, you make money when you sleep. You're going to wake up and all kinds of notifications are going to be in your inbox. You make it all look beautiful. You make sure you have good copy, all the elements. I looked from not behind the curtain in the front. Here's what I saw. I got all these emails. Oh, you write a bunch of emails. Oh, you do all this. Okay, let's do this. So I'm excited. I'm pouring tons of energy. I'm writing everything. I had that little tiny bit of money that I'm going to put in because I'm expecting this big payday, right? So I'm going to put that in. I hired my first, actually, I hadn't hired her yet. I did it with the minimal, right? I thought, okay, and I have 2 partners. How cool is that? My list is 12 people. Half of them are family, but I have 2 partners and they're kind of big from what I've been told. So here we go. Let's kick it off. This is amazing. I'm high vibe energy. We do the interviews where, I'm selling these interviews and get off and it's crickets. And I'm like, hey, when you have something good, my mindset was, it's just going to go viral, right? Everybody's going to find it. And this is not to make fun of anybody who's listening. This is what I knew. I didn't know any better. This is what you see from the outside, right? Everybody says, hey, just press send. And then you wake up and all these notifications. So I was in that vibe and I went to sleep excited. I'm like, God, finally the payoff, right? Like after a few weeks in business. that payoff is going to happen. I went to sleep. I'm visualizing how I'm going to spend the money. I'm counting it. And, we're going to do this and I'm going to pay this off. And I go to sleep. I'm happy. I wake up and I cannot wait to check my inbox and there's nothing. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to send another email. That's what you're supposed to do. Send another email. And then nothing and nothing and nothing. 0 sales. And I'll tell you, like when it was complete, right? Because I knew that it needed to end. When it was over, I got on my knees and I cried and I said, God, I did everything that I know to do right. What's the deal here? And I have a heart of service. I have gifts for people. People are going to be impacted in a good way. What's the deal? I set a commitment, and in that moment, I said, God, show me what I missed. Show me the whole. And guess what? When I figure this out and you show me, I am committed to show everybody how to do this because no one should have to go through this. This is miserable. You have amazing things. You're pouring your heart out. Like, where the heck is my part, So fast forward. I know I love telling the story. So thank you for letting me elaborate a little bit. But so I decide, okay, I'm going to figure this out. I go online and I know to educate. Like I'm going to get some more tools. What the heck? And I see a Facebook ad and it says 6-figure teleseminar secrets. I'm on, I'd be happy with a 1-figure teleseminar. I haven't even made my first penny. I haven't even made my first dollar. I'm off. If she can do 6, I'm sure I could do at least 2 or 3. Like I need to know what's behind the curtain. Because here's the thing, those of you that are listening, this is one of the mistakes I made. It's trying to figure it out when someone already figured it out.
Yeah.
So I needed a blueprint. And I highly encourage and I thought, okay, I need to know, like nothing's going to stop me. So an offer was made. Guess what? I only had enough for the first payment plan. Like that's really where I was. And I thought, I'm going to immerse myself. I need to know what I missed. So thank goodness her training was available immediately. I, in one day, consumed I don't know how many hours, maybe it was 2 days, the whole weekend, just consumed the entire training. And I saw what I missed, you guys, those of you listening, you women, wickedly smart women. I missed that there is a plan of reach, right? Exposure. So, and this is not personal. If you have something good and you can yell it in the forest, nobody is there to hear it. So it's not that your stuff isn't good, right? That is rarely the case anytime I've met anybody. But the thing is that there is, first of all, don't go in thinking of the home run, right? You don't go into and throw like your first event and expect that you're going to have 5,000 people. There is a progression. So when you get that, you don't get that false sense of, I'm going to do what I just saw, $1 million launch, 6-figure launch. Everybody's doing it. So I'm just going to follow the same path. So just first, it's like get grounded in there is a path of reverse engineering. Like if I reach 1,000 people and I put all the best methods in play, this is what could be in play. But guess what? There is also that personal development that's happening in you that has to be taken into consideration because let's say my goal is, I live in California and my goal is to go to New York, right? You live in New York and your goal is to go across town. And that is the experience we bring in to the launch where she doesn't have very far to go to put in the same plan because maybe she's been doing it for 5 or 6 or 10 years, right? So she's just pouring in the formula. You see this in programs, right? I'm right here. She's right around the corner. She's done a lot of things that we don't know. It took her years to be an overnight success. Yeah. And then I'm over here, first time, I'm in California. You know what I mean? Like I have some distance. I have some things to take care of. I need to learn some skills. There's some, even the strengthening of your gifts, the confidence in your gifts, the healing that needs to happen, whatever's blocking you. But see, this is the blessing in disguise because that if you will continue on the path, you arrive. So yeah, there might be more work. This is called mastery, right? Exactly. If you don't have it, there is a path to go. So for me, launching became the mastery school. So I figured out the whole, which is, okay, I need to have people. That was the missing link. This is the good news was I had everything created. So now I am going to seek out partners. And there's a protocol of what I did to do this, but I'm going to skip this for just a second. I'm not going to go into detail till you ask me because I want to get to the whole was I needed to figure out people. So I spent all my time and energy gathering relationships, and I got 38 partners to support this launch, plus the partner to build the program who also had 10 years in experience. So together, that launch succeeded. And guess what? Can I go through a little piece of it? Because anyone listening are going to think it was a failure from the beginning.
Not right now, though.
Okay.
We're gonna take a quick break.
Okay.
We're already
Come back.
past the break, but we will
come back on the break.
In just a minute. So yes, we will definitely talk about that when we come back from the break. And there's so much here, like literally, Maribel, we could go for 3 hours. And
I know.
that's not gonna happen today.
Okay.
But right now, I do want to thank all of our listeners who are downloading, all those people that you're talking about. Like this is an element of something that people might be interested in doing, is getting on podcasts and sharing their message on podcasts. So I do want to thank all of our listeners who are downloading and rating and reviewing. We're welcoming thousands of downloads from all over the world. And I want to shout out this week to our listeners in New York and California, since Maribel mentioned those two spots. And we will be right back in just a moment with Maribel Jimenez.
The Wickedly Smart Women podcast is brought to you by the Creative Age Consulting Group. Women, are you ready for a big revenue breakthrough so you can stop working like a man and being paid like a woman? Are you ready to take the leap and go deep to claim your value and convert your wisdom to wealth? Is now the time to fulfill your mission and change the world? Creative Age Consulting Group is hired by women just like you who want to break through to their brilliance and be heard by millions while building a sustainable business model that makes bank. Please visit apply.wealthylifemethod.com to apply for an invitation-only consultation. If you have been inspired to receive support in welcoming wealth by making your most heartfelt contribution to the world, be sure to apply for a consultation today. Once again, that is apply.wealthylifemethod.com, or click in the link in the show notes to access the application.
And we are back with Maribel. And before we went to the break, Maribel was sharing about how she was called to become a launch queen. We'll call her the launch queen. Your dream launch mentor is who she is. And I do want to have you finish up that story. But before we do, I want to just pick on a few things that came up in that story that I really want to highlight. First of all, you used the word commitment. Secondly, you talked about, people, gathering people to help you. And those are two things that I have always seen from you for as long as we've known one another, that when you make a commitment to do something, you stand by your commitment. You're in your integrity. You always, sometimes the dates get wobbly, but you always bring things to fruition. You stay committed to bringing things to fruition, and sometimes there's course corrections along the way. But the other piece,
always.
Yeah, almost always. The other piece here was the gathering people, and so as you finish up that little piece of the story about how your launch did succeed ultimately, and turned you into, at this point, I'm sure you've made multiple millions of dollars in your business. I do want to have you talk a little bit about the process of building relationship and what that means in supporting all of our wickedly smart women out there to recognize that weaving of relationship is actually our superpower.
Yes, good. Yes. So you want me to go in more detail about that piece?
Yeah.
The partnership? Yes. Okay. So first of all, I told you that I missed that piece of it's not just solo, because solo is the hard way. So I realized, okay, I don't know anybody barely, so I needed to go and make connections, right? This is how I succeeded in normal business. I had teams. Well, of course you would bring that to this, right? You're not supposed to do it by yourself. So I immersed myself in everything, any networking, meeting people. It's important for people to know you exist. That's the key for marketing, right? If they don't know, they can't find you, then they don't know you have this amazing gift. So I went on a mission to see who's out there. So I went to marketing meetings, I went to all these things, and my intention was, I love people. I love having relationships. I love learning about them. And that's what I went with those intentions. Let me connect. Let me explore who's out there. How are they winning? And is there anyone I can help? How are they doing this online? I just went in inquiry. Every time I resonated with somebody, I took their card and I committed to doing the follow-up. I took their card and I said, look, I love what you're about. And networking meetings, you have 30 seconds, you have 2 minutes. I went to see who's my people. Who do I align with, right? They're doing amazing business. They're amazing people, high integrity. I feel that vibe. And then I would come back, bring all the cards, and I'd take it upon myself. And I would say, look, I'm going to contact you as soon as we get back. I know business as usual, but I'm going to contact you back. I set up a specific link. And those that are listening, I'll give you another little tidbit. It's meetwithmaribel.com. I recommend you do that with your name. Buy the domain, because who remembers a time trade link? Nobody, right? But you have it connected. I was always able to say, oh yeah, go to meetwithmaribel.com, set up some time, or I would send them that link wherever I was in the world, because I didn't have to remember, go find it. And it was pre-structured time that I was going to devote to connections, to building relationship everywhere. Anybody that I could help, anybody that could help me, it was all about win, win, win. Where can we all win? Where can we help each other? And we all win when that happens. So in doing that, that's where I came in with service. How could I help you? How could I help you? I didn't have a list yet. So it was more like they wanted to pick my brain. Okay, now they pick my marketing brain. Here's how you can help me. I have a lunch coming. I have this. I'd love some speaking. I'd love a referral. I was prepped for every area that could use support. So if you're listening, you want to do that, prep every way you could be supported. And most people don't think about it. They're just hoping, and I'll call you when I need something, and then they don't call. So then you're not reaping the reward of a conversation where you get to actually make something happen on the call.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I did that for a couple of weeks, and that's where the 38 partners came from.
Beautiful. Well, I want to make sure that I'm partnering you well, because I want to make sure that we let people know where they can find you to partner with you.
Yes.
When it's time for them to either launch or relaunch. It's funny because before we started this interview, I was telling Maribel, I made a joke. Like I said, oh, it's so good to see you. I'm so glad you're here with she who hates to launch, referencing myself. And we immediately did some healing around that. So the other thing I want to make sure that everybody understands is that Maribel is not only a powerful strategist and immensely skilled, immensely talented, immensely successful marketing genius and launch genius, but she is also immensely gifted in the healing realm. And anybody who really understands success will understand that it is both an inner game and an outer game. And if you don't have both on board, then you're going to have some trouble. So the way you find Maribel is go to yourdreamlaunch.com/launch guide, and we will have that in the show notes. We've got about 3 minutes left for this interview, which is amazing how quickly it goes.
Yes.
But what I wanted to do is I wanted to share some of the playfulness, because that's the other thing that I recognize that you bring to the table so much, Maribel, is you actually have never worked since. You have never worked since you left that old situation. It has been playful for you, very intentionally playful for you. So whenever Maribel and I meet, we play with some cards. So I'd love to, if you'd like, to pull a card for us, Maribel, from I think it's the Money
and the Law of Attraction from Esther and Jerry Hicks.
Okay, great. And then just from that card, if you can bring some closing remarks to the people who are listening, or whatever other message needs to be said before we go. Yeah.
You got it. Okay. So the intention here is what would be supportive to everybody to hear in this moment and move forward. And that is, I can deliberately choose to feel better now. And I'm going to read the back just to give it more for anyone that's like, okay, tell me more. Not only does the thought you're choosing right now attract the next thought and the next and so on, it also provides the basis of your alignment with your inner being. As you consistently and deliberately think and speak more of what you do want and less of what you do not want, you will find yourself more often in alignment with the pure positive essence of your own source. And under those conditions, your life will be extremely pleasing to you. What a perfect card.
Well, so I'm going to now take that card and your guidance, Maribel, and I have now transformed right here on this show from she who hates to launch to she who enjoys and thoroughly succeeds with launching. She who loves to launch.
Yes.
And I wish that for all of our listeners too. So is there one final, maybe smart, spunky little sexy, successful tip that you can give people before we close, Maribel?
Yes, I have two. Okay, so one, those that are listening, we promised them to finish that story, and all I'm going to say about it is it was the most wobbly launch all the way to the finish line. And I want to leave you with that is actually what it looks like. Success is sloppy behind the curtain. The commitment to finish is why only 3% have it happen. And so what I leave you with is the sloppiness does not a reflection of that you can't make it. The sloppiness is the gift of everything that needs fixing in order to succeed. So look at, similar to this card, look at the gifts all along the way, all the way to the finish line. That's what I want to tell you, and that's what had it succeed. But to anyone else, it looked like a failure from the beginning. Mm-hmm. So that's that. And then what I want to leave you with, my final words, it's one of my favorite quotes, is whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. It's the same message that says whatever you put your attention on expands. Wherever you're focused, you get. So I invite you, in fact, I challenge you, for those that are competitive listening, I challenge you to own you and just trust that everything you do works. Everything you touch turns to gold. And yeah, it might be a process of refining, but stay committed to that, and that you have everything it takes to be successful. Commit to that. There's no way you cannot have it. So that's what I want to leave you guys with. And that quote is from Henry Ford. It's on my mouse pad.
Beautiful. Well, I think the best quote that we got there is success is sloppy behind the scenes. So we're going to make sure that we put that into our marketing memes when we launch your episodes.
All right.
How I fixed my launching process, besides working with you and getting my mindset squared away, is I now launch every single week, basically, with a new episode. So, all right. Well, listeners, we absolutely love your feedback. Please let us know what you thought of today's show, or send in questions or guest suggestions to listeners@wickedlysmartwomen.com. We might even give you a shout out on the show. Want to thank Maribel Jimenez, your dream launch mentor, and invite you again to check out what she's got for you there at yourdreamlaunch.com/launch guide. We'll have that in the show notes. Thank you for tuning in. Keep your ears open. And remember, you are wonderful women.
Thanks for tuning in, downloading, and listening. Be sure to review and rate Wickedly Smart Women on Apple Podcasts and share with other women who can benefit from today's episode. Wickedly Smart Women is the premier podcast series for informing, activating, and inspiring the leader who carries profound wisdom and knows that now is the time to welcome wealth. We welcome your feedback and guest suggestions and invite you to subscribe to our mailing list to be notified of each episode at wickedlysmartwomen.com.